Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. Have you ever wondered what is possible beyond possible? What is the thing you've been wondering and inquiring about? Are you just feeling stuck and don't know why? Are you thinking or are you seeing? Seeing allows us to expand and have this other experience. We want to invite you for that wake-up call. We want to invite your spirit, your soul, so to be more alive, more connected. Glenn Brooks has been a life coach for over 33 years, author of Divorced to Patterns, Not Each Other, an explorer of what is possible. He has worked with people all around the world. Join us for a wake-up conversation, a dialogue with you. We will have some of the most interesting contributors. We will be talking to some of the most interesting people and have some of the most resourceful teachers, wisdom-filled people from around the world join us. Share your voice, ask the questions, become free of the known into a new world of possibility. We are going to talk about all the things you wonder about: how to live, how to heal, how to connect, how to love, how to be seen. Your life is precious. Enjoy it.
Thank you. I'm Glenn Brooks. So you guys can call me Vibrant Glenn. You're whoever you are. I want to say today it's wonderful being with you. I want to introduce you to Kai Cole, my brilliant co-host. And really, it's her brilliance and her able to see through another part of the brain. You know, we come together, we get this relational brain effect. And if you have a kind of a spiritual sense, you add and give momentum to the attributes. So since working with Kai, it's just been a really wonderful new world of being able to reach you and our full speakers bureau, our Vibrant Speakers International. So Kai, here I am not hanging out with you at the hotel the last, several days. That was so wonderful hanging out with you, by the way, you and Dale. So welcome. I'm happy you're here today.
Thank you. Likewise.
I want to say 20 years ago, I was doing a series, Kai. I think you know this. It was on mastering the media, how to really speak to people, how to go beyond the formula in the media. And I was one of the leaders, and I said that the media mostly focus on events, what kind of bleeds, but it distracts from the idea of what cultivates. And on that call, I got on, and one of the journalists, one of the journalists called me, so you're the man that gets paid to go on vacation. And I was thinking this morning, Kai, I want to share that with you. I want you to be the woman, and Dale. Because the idea isn't just that I get paid to go on vacation. The big idea of this is that you have the mentality and the resource to see a different life and not just do things from survival. Well, in relation to that, for many years, Kai and Ariel Baradarian, our producer in New York City, Connecticut, his brilliance is here today. Here he is today, homeopath, contributor, ambassador. Ariel, I gave you the ambassador today earlier this morning, by the way. He'll be coming to you, confirmation. Yeah, it's coming. So you'll be walking taller soon. Welcome. So I was on that call, and I thought to myself, the whole thing is to be able to be in life in a way where you could really explore and really notice things. And I've always been fascinated to some extent by this formula. We get into formulas. We're going to talk about vibrant dentistry today. And we're going to talk about, I think, one of the people who's pioneering the work, Dr. Saul Pressner. He's my dentist. He's been patient. He's helped bridge the gap on many of our conversations. I've had a chance to talk to other practitioners of biomimetic and biomimetic dentistry, Kai and Ariel, to do things by the laws of nature. Who would think the laws of nature would be in a dental office? Well, I call it vibrant dentistry, of course. And really, the formula of that conversation, I want you to think about when you enter a field, there's the formula of the field. Like in the formula of dentistry, they have crowns, they have implants, they have, root canals. It's like a formula, and you don't even consider you have an option. Like, did you ever think you don't have an option? You don't got to get these strange things put in your mouth called crowns? Like, as an example, your mouth relates to your whole body. Your tongue relates to your brain, your movement, your breath. So rather than this mechanistic impositional thing, which you're scared of because it's a good idea to be scared of a lot of it, someone sticking an instrument in your mouth, to slow that down and to inquire. When I met Dr. Saul, I had a series of conversations with Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez. I think he passed away, but was just renowned as a nutritional oncologist. He just introduced me to Saul. So what I wanted to share with you today, and I know there's a lot out there, and there's a lot of, people call themselves holistic, but you really want to pay attention to. And I asked Saul to come on and tell stories and educate us. Is it deeply minimally invasive? Is it deeply minimally invasive on all levels? Do you feel like your breath, you can be in the chair and breathe and relax? Do you feel like, in fact, when you leave, your body has some sense of flow? I've met many, many people now who spent over $100,000 going to cosmetic dentists, and they've been in terrible pain for the next 3 months, year. Why? Because when you just do invasive work and you don't see how it impacts the whole body, right? And you put a fancy name on it which has no true accreditation across the board, like cosmetic, you're not sometimes getting this high-quality work that meets your body. And yes, it meets your cosmetic, but from a place of understanding the body. And so that's why I endorse and recommend biomimetic dentistry. And that's why we have our favorite vibrant dentist with us today, Dr. Saul Teshna. Welcome, Saul.
Thank you, Glenn. That's very kind of you.
Yeah. You got to be good friends with. You got to be family members with your dentist. You know that, Saul.
Absolutely.
So we got Kai here. We got Kai and Ariel. I want to make sure these guys get to ask you something, because I've referred people to you as far as Florida, and they always say to me the same thing. They say, God, I've never been to a dental office and had such minimally invasive work. And share with us your story. You got educated, I think, at Penn State, and you went beyond your
University of
Pennsylvania. Did I plug the wrong place?
Yes, University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. That's okay, no problem.
Ariel will send you a written letter apologizing. You'll get it by the morning.
It's okay, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
So what happened? You're there. You're at dental school, and I always want to ask this because I do feel you had to stretch beyond your degrees. I know it was a very good school, but to do dentistry by the laws of nature, what got you moving in that direction?
Yeah, well, University of Pennsylvania is a great school. It's probably one of the best dental schools in the world. And I was educated. Penn really tried to integrate periodontics and dentistry. They really tried to save teeth. They came up with a specialty of periodontal prosthesis, which really saved hopeless teeth, and countless people saved their own teeth that way by treating the gums and the bones support of the teeth and saving teeth. And my dean, Walter Cohen, who was dean when I was there, just passed away, unfortunately, about a month ago. They pioneered saving teeth. So I guess that germinated in me the desire to save teeth. And then I did my residency at University of Connecticut in Farmington for 2 years in family dentistry because I really wanted to hone my skills. And Connecticut was headed by a large group of Scandinavian dentists who were even more minimally invasive than Penn. And I then connected with this guy, Ray Baradarian, through one of my co-residents who studied adhesion in Japan with Dr. Fusuyama. And Japanese dentistry was really at the forefront of trying to bond teeth. They didn't do it from a cosmetic standpoint so much as they tried to just remove the infected decay and leave the good tooth structure, as much good tooth structure as possible, because they felt that you want to just remove the disease and save the healthy part. So I studied with Dr. Baradarian, who had studied with Dr. Fusuyama, who developed these techniques, and eventually I studied with another guy, Dave Alleman, in Utah, who developed biomimetic dentistry. And we basically, my whole career path, I guess, led me to this point where I don't want to file teeth down unnecessarily. I mean, I do a lot of cosmetic work because I practice in Manhattan, but a lot of times when teeth are prepared for porcelain laminate veneers, for example, and especially for crowns, you have to remove a lot of healthy tooth structure in order to have enough room for the overstructure, the porcelain. But you can do a lot by just building up with direct composite plastic over the healthy tooth structure and removing the diseased tooth structure and get a very nice cosmetic result and not endanger the strength of the tooth because you're preserving as much enamel as possible and dentin, and you're avoiding root canal therapy and avoiding potential extraction of the tooth. By saving more tooth structure, you're creating a good experience for the patient. You can do a very nice cosmetic job, but you can also preserve that patient's teeth for many years to come by being minimally invasive. So that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, no, that's good. I want to go right to Kai. She's on location, dental inquirer. You know, Kai, I've been to a lot of dentists, and I never found anything like this. I thought that biomedical, what we now call vibrant dentistry, I'd love to call it that. I want to give it that name. It's the name we're going to share here. So, Kai, you know, one of the things when I first got involved with rebelling, not going to the dentist because it was painful, invasive, disrupting, suicidal. It was very intense, and I met people around the country. What are you curious about, Kai? I'm curious what you're curious about right now because you're brilliant, and I'm curious what you want to ask Saul. What's bubbling for you?
Sure, I'm very curious about which natural models do you look to personally, Dr. Pressner? I have a friend who is very deep into the biomimetic model presented by ants. And she's presented like so many different ways that we can utilize social structures to create a harmonious economy, a harmonious society. Is there a particular realm or an animal or, you know, a region in that realm of study that really inspires you?
Well, first of all, I try to live by the adage, do no harm. And I would say many animals try to do no harm. They just exist. And I do yoga, I meditate. I try to, in my own life, integrate a model of living modestly and just trying to be helpful. And by living by the adage of do no harm, I just try to do the best possible treatment for the patient, long term and short term. I try not to cause any discomfort. I try to save their teeth and for their lives as long as I can. That's the best I can tell you. I mean, by meditating, I've studied books by the Dalai Lama. I can't give you animal model societies, basically, that I've studied. I apologize for that. It's a good idea, but I try to be introspective and try to improve myself and be of service and do the right thing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Sure.
Ariel, do you know, a lot of those two things. A lot of practitioners ask me, you know, who I recommend because I realize it's. I just feel when I recommend someone, it's a lot. It's a lot to recommend someone because I realize there's so many factors. Ariel, you recommend people. We've been talking to this insurance company that includes dentistry. What are you most curious about Dr. Saul's biomimetic approach, which we now call vibrant dentistry as of this moment? What are you most meaning, by the way, that you're going to be more vibrant, you have more energy, and that the dentistry impacts your breathing? And when you're in the chair, and we just came back from Harvard, myself and Kai and Dale, who's our logistics coordinator, Kai's wonderful fiance, that one of the big conversations at Harvard was how the tissue and the brain and movement are connected. And I want to say this is one of the few fields I've seen where that's integrated. There's a profound appreciation of the tongue, the placement of the teeth, and the swallowing, the occlusion, the jaw. Ariel, what got you curious today? What do you moved by? I thought Kai's question was great.
No, definitely, for sure. It was very, very interesting to hear. As a holistic practitioner myself, as a homeopath, my approach to healing is from a very holistic perspective. And knowing Dr. Saul from previously working in the Upper East Side several months ago, I actually got to meet Dr. Saul. It's a pleasure to meet you again,
likewise.
Today.
Thank you.
And what makes Dr. Saul's approach very, like we mentioned before, what makes it very different from the approach of many other dentists is the fact that it has a very holistic aspect to it. And I guess, what I want to ask today is, what makes your biodynamic approach, an approach that's more holistic and more taking the person into account versus, other dentistry approaches? Something I'd like to learn more about, I guess.
Sure. The biomimetic approach is basically by preserving more tooth structure, we're avoiding more aggressive treatment, which has potential downsides. The more tooth structure you file away, the more at risk the nerve of the tooth is. And when the nerve is at risk, the tooth may end up needing root canal therapy. And teeth that have had root canal therapy are more prone to fracture and to premature loss. So by using biomimetic dentistry, it's more holistic in the sense that we are trying to do less damage to the tooth, and therefore it's much easier for a patient to tolerate, and they will hold on to their teeth for much longer, which impacts their life in emotional ways, physical ways, their ease of eating, and when you lose teeth, it's much more difficult to digest your food properly, and it's a self-esteem thing too. I mean, when you lose a tooth that you're born with, it's a loss, and you can replace them with implants. It's true, but it's much more expensive. It's much more to go through physically. So if we can preserve what nature gave us by being minimally invasive, it's much better psychologically and from a health aspect for the patient. So that's
what's your website, Saul? What's your website? I want to make sure people can go to your website and learn more.
Sure. It's www.newyork-cosmeticdentist.com. I do cosmetic dentistry as well, but I do it in a very biomimetic, minimally invasive, vibrant way.
Thank you for taking that branding. It was so beautiful. All right, give out your number, and then myself and Kai, we're going to talk about what happened at Harvard this last weekend. We're going to share with you some of the insights at this conference on, the brain, movement, and cognition. Give out your number, Saul, please.
Well, my phone number is
what the heck?
212-249-8999.
Saul, you'll be on again. I'm going to see you on the 18th, and I want to thank you for being by the way, the first time I spoke to you, I could feel your meditation. Your meditation, you live and breathe. It comes across. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you so much.
Thank
you all, and have a great day. Thanks again.
You too. We're going to continue with the brilliant Kai Cole, my producer, and just working with you, Kai, has transformed my work to another level. We'll continue with Kai Cole, Ariel Baradarian in a moment. In another, just wait a vibrant moment. Just shake it off, take an exhale. Every exhale, we reset our nervous system. It only takes about 3 or 4 seconds to go from a emergency response to a vibrant response where your whole system is engaged. I'm going to share with you a visualization, imagery, becoming a vibrant speaker, and share with you what we discovered at Harvard, where me and Kai went. We'll continue. You like Precious, enjoy it.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Well, you've only just begun. It's Glenn Brooks, Vibrant Living. Kai Cole, Vibrant Living team member, co-innovator, architect, physical architect. But what I love about Kai, she also is an architect of awareness and consciousness. And she's so profoundly valuable to be around. I want to say that the quality of people in our lives and the ability to trust them is probably one of the most important attributes, which is one of the things they kept exploring at Harvard. Also, Ariel Baradarian. He's our holistic James Bond, under the scenes, under the cover, helping people as a homeopath and also bringing the Vibrant Living Network to a new level. Thank you. Well, Kai, I was going to mention to people, maybe I'll do this first. I want to mention Prevere. Our connection at the Element Hotel. The Element Hotel is a green hotel. The ambiance is absolutely, it's gorgeous there. I had the honor of hanging out with Kai there sometimes very early in the morning as she worked on things, looked at spiritual readings. We hung out. You know, there's a power of being in the hallway with someone, that in-between space. Kai, it was a wonder being with you at Harvard. Beyond just Harvard, hanging out with you and Dale was just the highlight. It was just so wonderful. Our journeys, our driving from the Element. I want to say a special shout out to Prevere because he was just such an inside connection. You know, I say to people that all sickness is homesickness. So when you travel, you want to be at home. When I became the man who gets paid to go on vacation, I got many invitations. Now I'm so happy to share that with Kai and Dale and go to another level because the quality of our life is always going to be relational. I also want to thank Matt over at Brugger's. Matt, that's right. You're the supervisor over there. I walked in with no ID and I said, hey, I explore juice bars and I invent juices. And you said, welcome. And I made a Brooks Blast. A Brooks Blast is a minimal sugar drink. A lot of chia seeds and almonds and tons of blueberries, acai. Brugger's in Bedford. You get to say, Matt, you tell Matt you heard about it on the program here today. And, Kai, you want to talk about Fuji's? Why don't you talk about Fuji's? I love Jimmy Lang and Phony. Why don't you talk about Fuji's? We had our ceremonial dinners at Fuji's. I want to turn it over to you, Kai. What was it like to be at Fuji's?
It was a dream. It was a breath of fresh air right in the middle of an oasis in the Cambridge area. There was just an amazing place. We were able to have Japanese fusion cuisine. And from beginning to end, I have to say that it was simply a delight. Glenn, what did you order?
Oh God! Well, the last day I had the miso salmon, which is absolutely delicious. I ended the meal. I'm just going to jump ahead to the dessert with an avocado mango smoothie, which is so scrumptious. And I got to admit, I love seaweed. I do. So I had the seaweed salad. I had the seaweed. It was a combo salad. I think I had the seaweed garden salad. Oh my God! You know what I love, Kai? And I'm forgetting what they put in it. Was the jasmine honey iced tea, the Greek iced tea. I had two of those. What was it? Tapioca balls? Was that what it was called?
Boba.
Yeah, those little balls. I think they were called tapioca balls. It was Am I saying it correctly? It was those little balls they had in the tea. You could kind of swallow with your straw. I mean, you did kind of a challenge. It was an Olympic event, swallowing the balls. Do you remember the name of them?
Yeah.
Oh, was I correct? Was it tapioca balls? It was what?
You are correct.
Oh, my God, I was correct. Okay. Well, now to the bonus round, Ariel. I'm shooting for the Corvette today. Thank you. I'm glad I was correct. Now, you had... Tell me what you... Because I remember this... I want to say I was so... And by the way, the staff, we have pictures. Kai took pictures. I have pictures with the sushi staff there and the other staff. Jimmy used to drive out. We used to do a show together in Boston. He's going to receive, Kai, the Integrity and Real Food Award, which we're going to present Jimmy for his wonderful work in being a pioneer. He's been doing sushi since about 14, and there's nothing like fresh fish sushi. What did you like? What did you have that you want to share with people that I don't? I remember you the second day you had something with I want to say with crabs. You had some kind of the second day I know you had a fried some kind of rice dish. Go ahead. Share with people what you had and why you loved it.
The XO rice is one of their signature dishes. It was amazing. All kinds of seafood, my fried rice, a type of composition. Also a food stay. We had volcano maki, and it was simply amazing. It really did look like a volcano. They do a great job in terms of presentation as well. Everything was just so clean. There was some flowers on the table. The Thai iced tea was amazing. So was the green tea ice cream. Everything was full of flavor, and I felt like it was full of love.
I love what you said about the simple food, but so delicious. Kai, where could people look at your pictures? Because you were kind enough to take so many pictures. How can we, because we want to share this experience. This is going to be one of our, when we hang out in Boston, we're going to go back to Fuji. We're going to always be at Element. We love Element. How can people see pictures? We took some cool pictures both at Element and Fuji. How could they see those, Kai?
Sure, they can find them on the Vibrant Living Network Facebook page.
Beautiful, beautiful. I got some updated information, Kai and Ariel, that's kind of stretched me in a big way this morning. So as we prepare to work with Dr. Teshna, whose work is all about... What's that?
Hello?
Oh, hello. Teshna, hold on one second. I just want to introduce this segment because you're right there, which is great. But I want to let the audience know.
Yeah.
I was just going to say to Kai and Ariel that we're preparing to have Taylor on this morning, and I didn't have a chance to update them, but I wanted to share with you, Ariel and Kai, that something very unusual came about. I got a call this morning from Taylor about our Dr. Teshna segment. Dr. Teshna, as you guys have been listening, does a kind of a one-of-a-kind work around removing the kind of hurt and heartache that kind of blocks people from experiencing deep love, particularly in their deep relationships. And what I heard this morning from Taylor was that a very close client of Dr. Teshna, Karen, she was going to come on. She's worked with Teshna for years, I think a long time, many years. But I also additionally heard, this is the third day, 2 days ago, Karen's husband passed away in relation to a motorcycle accident, a motorcycle crash. And she's on today on the show. I wanted to extend the warmest welcome to her, and also wanted to let Kai and Ariel know that she's coming on. It's the third day, and she's working with Dr. Teshna. Dr. Teshna has developed a system where you could remove this from your neurological system. One of the things that was talked about at Harvard is that what's in your tissues is in your brain, and what's in your movement is in your love life. They're all connected. So what Teshna's doing, we're going to have Teshna speak next year in television because this work is so profound. So I want to welcome you, Dr. Teshna. I wanted to update Kai and Ariel because I hadn't been able to tell them that Karen was going to be on. And I realized, funny enough, I was thinking this was a Karen that I didn't know, but I've known Karen for, 9-10 years, and I'm just very honored she's going to join us today. Karen, are you there?
No, she's not on yet.
Okay, all right. Wow, is there anything you want to say about anything you want to introduce the audience with, Teshna, about Karen, anything you want to share about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I guess what I wanted to say is that I would never have asked Karen to get on the show today because, her husband literally died in a motorcycle crash just Tuesday afternoon,
Yeah.
It's only like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And, of course, she was devastated, and so I worked with her doing the work that I do, the NET, the neuroemotional technique, and that.
I want you to bring us inside the room, and I want Kai is absolutely brilliant, and I want and so is Ariel. Describe what you do, and I want you guys to ask Teshna, because I've been with Teshna many times. I want you to speak to Ariel and Kai because they've never been in the room with you. So I want to make sure that what you're saying is transferring to people. They can kind of get a physical sense. So it's almost like we're in the room. Bring us in the room with you.
Mhm. So
describe it.
So, yeah. What do you mean?
In other words, if Kai was in the room with you, what would she be sitting down, laying down? Give them a sense of the physical, emotional. What is it like to be in the room with you? Like as an example, how do you work with people? Be as descriptive, like you're telling a story.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
you are telling a story.
When I work with people, like with Karen, for example, she came in and she obviously is emotionally upset, for good reason.
Yeah. Of course.
And so, I have her laying down on the table on her back, and then I muscle test the legs, like pulling the legs up, and she resists me pushing downward. And then I have her say, for example, my stress level about what just happened to Bob is less than, 10. And, of course, that goes weak. This is a scale of 0 to 10. And then, and then it goes all the way like less than 100, less than 1,000, less than 1,000,000. The only reason I do that is because it helps people to realize how much stress these things are causing. It's like way over the scale. It's not just 0 to 10. It's like it's over. It's like 1,000,000. So it's literally taking up their whole screen, their whole awareness unit or units available are taken up by that. And they can't deal with anything else. So then I find which meridian is affected, and I do the NET technique to release that. Now, in my workshops, I teach people a different technique that works just as good, and it's like a takeoff on what most people know as the EFT, the Emotional Freedom Technique, or TFT, Thought Field Therapy, but it's different than either one of them. It's using different points. Or sometimes some of the points are the same because, they're all acupuncture points. So I use these acupuncture points that we're tapping on that will do the same exact kind of thing that the NET clearing does. And I teach people how to muscle test to find out, what the issue is and where the stress level is, and then clear the issue with the technique and then go back and test again. And so like in this case, the stress went down from 1,000,000 down to 1,000. So then we went in again and worked on it again with what's the aspect now that is, what's the most important aspect that's showing up now. And then she tells me, and then I go in and we clear that using the technique again. And then I muscle test to make sure that it's gone, and then we test it again, and now the stress is less than 100. And we go on like that until the stress is less than 1. And by the time it's less than 1, they feel so much better. And the way that it works is that when we get really traumatized in some way, or we have belief systems that are holding us, it becomes part of our whole energetic system. It becomes part of the meridian system. It becomes part of the body. And even if you talk about it on a mental level and you talk to someone about it, whether it's a therapist or a best friend or whoever, even though you talk about it, it feels better to talk about it, but it doesn't actually clear the stress. With these techniques, whether it's neuroemotional technique or the stuff that I teach or EFT or TFT, all these techniques help to actually clear the stress out of the body, out of the meridian system, out of the body, out of the tissues, so to speak, and you literally can feel the difference right away. It doesn't take a year. It doesn't take 2 months. It's immediate. You feel the difference immediately. And that's the power of it. And so I've been able to help so many people go through grieving things so much quicker. It's not like they don't have time to grieve or they don't remember it or whatever, but they don't have to be devastated by it. They can move on. They can have an understanding. They can be at peace with what is because they can't change it. So that's how I would describe it. Are you there?
Hello?
Okay. So,
Yeah.
Kai?
It's all good. The what you're saying is super profound. How can people go deeper with you?
Well, I mean, there's they could come and see me.
Chris, you're the best.
Yeah, I practice in Philmont, New York. I have a website. It's called drteshna.com, so they can go on there, and on there right now it's in construction, so there's not everything on there yet, but there's information. If someone wants to take the workshop that I'm going to be teaching, the next one I'm teaching is at Kripalu, which is a beautiful place in Lenox, Massachusetts, or Stockbridge, I guess. It's right on the line there. And so that's going to be on August 26th to 29th. It's actually really like the 27, 28, the 2 main days, but there's it starts on the Sunday evening, 7:30 to 9:30 on the 26th, and it ends on the 29th on Wednesday morning, just from 9 to 11.
I want to ask Dr. Teshna. I want to ask Kai. What do you most, as you listen to this, and we're about to get Karen on. What do you, when you think about going to take the workshop, what is something, Kai, that intrigues you, engages you? Like, what's something that, share with the audience what you're most passionate about when you go there. When we go experience this workshop, what's something that personally interests you or that you're curious about?
Well, I've never been to Kripalu itself, so I'm very curious to see the ground. But as you say that question, it makes me curious about Teshna and her work. Like, what about this specific is really calling to you to share with people, especially in today's society?
Well, the reason I'm even teaching these workshops is because I've been doing this work for over 3 decades, working with people one way or the other, either with meridian tapping techniques or with neuroemotional technique or both, and have been able to help like thousands of people move through all different kinds of stresses. And a lot of time people say, like, is there anything I can do for myself? And I'm like, well, I wish I could teach you NET, but I can't, because, you have to be a professional. You have to have a master's degree or a doctor's degree before you can even take the workshop. So I figured, okay, and then EFT, anyone can learn that, and it's a great technique. However, it doesn't allow you to zero in on things. You have to know what the issue is in order to clear it. If you don't know what the issue is, you can't clear it. Now, if you add the muscle testing to this, then all of a sudden you have a tool that allows you to see what is in the system, what is in the blueprint, what is in the subconscious level that you may not be aware on a conscious level is part of the issue. And once you have that tool, then you can start clearing these things, even if you weren't aware of what they were to begin with. And in my workshop, I teach people how to muscle test themselves, how to muscle test others, and then I teach them how to think in a way that allows you to figure out what the belief system might be behind whatever it is that's happening in your life. So, for example, if you find yourself always attracted to people who end up cheating on you, well, when I hear that story, when somebody comes in and they tell me, you know what, my last husband cheated on me, the other person cheated on me.
All right, we're gonna take a brief. We're gonna just take a brief pause, a vibrant pause. Yep. Exhale, collect ourselves, move our body. Along with Kai Cole, Ariel Baradarian, you're listening to Vibrant Living. A chance at a new life is here right this moment. We'll continue. Your life isn't precious. Enjoy it. I'm Glenn Brooks. Stay with us.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Perfect.
You're listening to Vibrant Living. I'm Glenn Brooks, along with Kai Cole, who's not just an architect of structure, he's an architect of conscience and tribes and teams. Ariel Baradarian, he's our undercover holistic agent, homeopath, inquirer, massive contributor. There's nothing like a team. You know, as we talk with Dr. Teshna, we talk about relieving these blockages, and one of the most elegant, beautiful ways to re-educate your system. You know, it's interesting, when your system gets stunned or shocked. I had the honor of being very close with Dr. Valerie Hunt, probably one of the most renowned scientists around energetics and well-being, and just a genius. And she said to me, before she had passed away, she said, you know, Glenn, when people get shocked, it plays out in their lives. That removing shock from the system is the most valuable thing. My other teacher, Dr. Dean Ornish, said that intimacy, hands down, is the most profound healer. Beyond yoga, beyond stress management, intimacy. So when we're talking with Dr. Teshna, we're talking about another way in being life, so you could actually be touched and touch and share a breath with another human being. Do we have Karen? Are you there? Are you there now?
Who's that?
Karen, is that you?
Oh, there you are.
Karen. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I want to, first of all, Karen, I'm so happy it's you. I kept hearing about this Karen. I didn't know it was the Karen, so I'm so happy it's you. Hi.
Thank you. Yes.
I want to welcome you. I realize I've spent so many pleasant times seeing you and having you be so warm and friendly, because many times when I was in Dr. Teshna's office, Kai and Ariel, I was a million. I was just going through I went through a time in my life I call the relational tsunami, which has been so opening. It's led to a new film called The Announcement, which is all about relieving heartbreak. And by the way, heartbreak to me is one of the most, sets people up for illness. So what Dr. Teshna is doing is so relevant. Karen, I'm so happy you're here, and I send you my deepest condolences and love. I know that your husband passed away in the last 48 hours approximately. I want to introduce you to Kai Cole, who's my co-producer. She's a sweetheart. I let them know, and Ariel. And we welcome you to the show. Under this circumstance, I'm so happy. I admire your courage, and I'm holding you close. I appreciate you today, and I feel for you. What would you like to share with people in relation to Dr. Teshna? Because I know you've been working with her, I guess you've been working with her as her assistant many, many years. But what would you like to share with people? Well, 18 years.
Yeah. It's like you said, with my husband just passing, and of course it's one of the huge things that working with Teshna was so helpful, right? In, like you say, the last 48 hours, because he had his failing heart and he was off on his trip, and which I was good with. And so when he, died there in Colorado, it was like, I was like, Teshna's checking, this NET level is just too fascinating, where I'm saying, and I'm meaning, head and mind, heart and mind, that I was okay with it. I was prepared in many ways and sort of happy for him. But, when she tests, it's like, well, not really. In fact, and it was showing up physically, my stomach up. I never have that. And like, well, there is actually a little worry, fear, dread, and pending doom. When he had taken
Yes.
off.
Yeah, of course.
Like, well,
yes.
okay,
Yeah.
that wasn't coming out in my words. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other part was, my frustration over the years and depression about how he couldn't get what we do. It's like Teshna and I have been together for 18 years, and he does not get it. So over the many years, I had to really accept that. We have other people who come in and say, I don't get that muscle testing thing. But this was my husband, and and he's declining there, and I'm like $1 million. So that helped. It's in there. I'm saying, no, I accept it. So it's stuff like that. It's getting to the really deep core of our beliefs and how that affects us physically. When I was in this last go-round going through like pain, it's like, whoa, I never have pain. Never.
Yes.
So, and even on that level over the years when I say, I have this little sensation up here that doesn't feel quite right, and she check it out. And we always go to, well, let's check the emotional component. Well, we're emotional beings. Like I say, over the 18 years, I have just found that infinitely fascinating. And for one, over that amount of time, Teshna is always learning more and always expanding and always fine-tuning and bringing it all together, all kinds of techniques, which, again, I find fascinating. So,
right, ongoing innovation. Karen, I want to see, Kai, as you listen, what's Kai called another aspect of the relational brain here. What's moving you? So Karen's with us, who's worked with Dr. Teshna for 18 years. Her husband, unfortunately, passed away within the last 48 hours approximately. And we're talking about how this work can impact the emotional, neurological system. Kai, what are you curious about that you want to ask Karen or you want to contribute?
Sure, Karen, I'd love to know if there's any advice that you can give people just generally for what to do when the shock hits you. We can let days go by and so forth and, finally make our way to, someone who can help. But while it's happening, do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, for me, of course, I've been there in the nest, so I don't have to go too far. I don't have to search. But, just I think understanding that this mind, body, spirit connection is very real and very powerful, and you, of course, need to address things on all levels, and that's kind of like a given in my world. Where people are in other places and what they can source out, or like with Teshna teaching the workshops where you can find some technique to work for yourself if you don't have Teshna next door, or other NET practitioners. So that's the part that I've experienced so much. It's solid. Just like go for it. Pay attention. Like this is what it's all about, and it's so valuable. So to learn the technique that you can work for yourself wherever you are, of course, is wonderful. And like for me with the tapping, where you start out just saying, "I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself," even though I'm like, that's right on. Anybody saying that any day, you're already off to the right start, and then you go on with the rest of the technique. At the last workshop back in the fall, when she was teaching that to our mostly local folk, and one young man said, "Can I teach this to my 2-year-old?" And that was my response. Well, Teshna, yes, of course you can. And I'm like, you teach any 2-year-old to say, I deeply and profoundly love myself, even though whatever is going on. It's just a process that's worth $1 million. And and I also am kind of a, self-doer. You can do something for yourself. Of course, I realized over the years that I was so spoiled I wasn't actually doing that. So I said, Karen, you just stop and pay attention to what you're doing. So, it's wonderful. And the thing with the book, and specifically working on relationships, and now even like specifically with my husband, is the other thing that I felt strongly about when we were at that group was you can work from one side of the relationship. Because since my husband's clueless, and I would clear things that would come up and clear the way, and you just do your part. And again, I find that fascinating. So as I've said over the years, she saved his butt. So
I love Kai. What Karen's the paradox. The paradox you could, even though I'm in conflict, I see this even relationally. You can say to someone, even though I have a conflict with you, I deeply love and forgive you. Or even though my knee hasn't functioned correctly, I deeply appreciate and love my knee. It's kind of this. I think what I love about the paradox, Karen and Ariel and Kai and Dr. Teshna, is that it's kind of acknowledging and accepting, and at the same time being in touch with that love, or that conscious love that sometimes we disconnect from when we get stuck in the paradox. We think it's either or rather than the power. The paradox is that I deeply love and accept and embrace myself or someone else, your partner, even though this thing's going on. I love that you said 2-year-old. I just had a vision of that, Karen, that the 2-year-old be saying that. Kai, I want to go back to Kai one more time because Kai's I'm called to ask you something. What else is, how did Karen's response speak to you?
It speaks to me deeply, very, very deeply. I really appreciate the time and presence that you've been cultivating that response, Karen. If you ask, just as well, if someone is, resistant to any of these methods of treatment or acceptance in their lives, is there one way that we can just take a step back and move deeper?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add one thing here is that,
Please.
If there's anybody out there that's still suffering from losing a loved one, there's help available. It can help. It's so easy to do, and you don't have to be in pain for another year or another month or another week or another 10 years. If you learn how to do these techniques, you can help yourself immediately. Or you can find somebody that does a neuroemotional technique. You can just go, there's a website for them. It's netmindbody.com. My own website is drteshna.com. Just Teshna, Teshna.com. And there's a link on there if you're interested in the workshop or my book. They're both on there.
Is your website good to go, Teshna? It's in good shape right now?
Yes, it finally is. It was under construction for a long time. It still is,
right.
But now it's functional. So if somebody goes on,
it's functional. Okay.
You get all my information. You get the information about my book, the workshop at Kripalu, and there's a button to register right there, and then also contact information for the office if you want help to find a practitioner.
Give out your office number. You guys get to say hello to Karen at the office there. I assume you'll be there. Karen, what's the number at the office, too?
518-672-4019.
One more time, and I'm going to see if Ariel has a quick comment or question. 518, that was my subconscious misfiring.
Yeah.
What's the office number again, independent of my subconscious?
518-672-4019.
All right, Teshna. Karen, by the way, what a sweetie. I'm so happy you're on today. I'm so psyched to see you. I'll be hugging you. I appreciate you so much. It was like, oh, that Karen. So it's you. Ariel, comment or question?
I really enjoyed listening to this, and it's something for me as a homeopath that really resonated with, and it was just really enjoyable to listen to and to hear out. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Karen.
Very in line with that homeopathy and the whole vibration of things. Yeah.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, you have to take into account all aspects and all parts of the integration. If you're ignoring one part, or if you're ignoring multiple aspects, then you're not really getting to that core that's needed to heal. And I think that's something that really goes along those lines.
And the piece about someone's literally in pain, but there's an emotional component, to be able to clear.
Yeah.
Which is very.
No, you expressed that so well, Karen. I'm honored you were on today. I look forward to seeing you, Dr. Teshna. I love you so much. Kai, Ariel, I couldn't do this without you guys. Much love. Chris at OMTimes Radio, partners with Vibrant Living Network. Deeply appreciate you, Chris. Everybody, drop to your knees and appreciate your life. It's such a precious thing being alive. Let's celebrate and discover a new life together here on Vibrant Living and beyond. I'm Glenn Brooks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.